My name is Raymond Karchevsky, and I am a living Christ. I want to ask the question of each and every one of you who are watching this video. How do you know when you are of the living dead? And how do you know when you're alive? It's all a matter of energy. And in particular, how you focus your energy. You see, if you live the average life of a civilized man or woman, a human being, and you believe in the traditions, the culturization, the indoctrination that you have undergone in your experiences of a life, schooling, your political and religious indoctrination. If you believe in all of that enculturization, those dead images, ideas, concepts that have been drummed into you coercively, and as a young child, you accept it because you don't know any better. You have not grown to be a mature man or woman in your understanding. And most of you go through your whole lives in that state of consciousness. You never grow up. You're still children because you believe. You posit an authority symbol which separates you, the student, from the teacher. What you created was the dualistic relationship of the intellectual mind, the connection that connects with dead images, ideas, symbols, traditions. And you are taught that you must adhere to these symbolic ideas. You're graded on them as to whether you're a good student, a good believer, or you're a poor student, a bad believer. Bad believers are shunted aside by society because they cannot be controlled. They cannot be intimidated by the theory of a trained individual who gives the right answers to the right questions posed by those who create the answers for them in the man that you adhere to those answers. That's how you're graded in school. That's how you're corrupted. And the good students are usually the lowest level of human consciousness because they live in a dead world, a world of memory-based ideas called history. His story. Do you understand what that is all about? It's an artificial, fictional illusion that one must place their energy in, their belief. And then they are graded on how well they can be controlled. The poor students are disregarded or condemned because the authority symbols have no control over them. They maintain an energy within them that cannot be controlled by limited intellectual, satanically intellectual power. You see, power is only found in illusion. Power is not true. Power in itself is an illusion. It only applies to those who believe in it. Such are societies that are built by those who make the rules and those who follow the rules because they have been trained to believe that they must follow those rules. The Christ is a poor student because he maintains his own authority, the authority of truth that can be found only in the subconscious, the non-dualistic mind of God. You see, you all have two minds, the subconscious mind, the mind of creation, the mind of God. And if you resonate with that infinite energy of understanding, you are the God of your own life and only of your own life. There is much that must be understood that you cannot get from the intellectual world, because the intellectual world is satanic. Now, many of you will get your back up over that comment, because you don't understand what Satan is. Satan is the god of duality, of intellectualism, of split consciousness, of a conscience. You understand? If you have a conscience, and you are tortured by that conscience, you are being reminded that you are trying to solve a problem which can only be found in a dualistic intellect. There are no problems in the subconscious, non-dualistic mind. There is only just what is, because it is all non-dualistic. There is no opposition to it. One cannot be at war with himself in the subconscious, non-dualistic mind of God. That is the level of truth. Truth has no opposition to it. It is what is. But unfortunately, we have been coerced into leaving that God mind, the subconscious mind, and adopting instead the mind of intellect, the tree of the knowledge which bears the fruit of good and evil, opposites, duality. And we live our life in that realm of duality. We filter the infiniteness of truth, of life itself, through the filters of the conscious intellect. And we are left wanting because that is a fragmented consciousness. It is not whole, not holistic, not holy, not complete. So we struggle. Do we do this or do we do that? Understand confusion. Your confusion in process. But you don't understand that you're just left at the mercy of which position do you choose. You understand? So if you do choose, you're still in your intellectual mind because that's a partial answer. Truth cannot be chosen. Truth is what is. So if you are choosing, you are actually opting for the idea of truth, which is merely another illusion. That is the illusion of civilized society. Millions, billions of you are affected by such dualistic training. Governments are made of such confusion. Religions, which talk about God, and yet there are many religions with their own definition of God. And those definitions conflict with the others who hold different definitions. That's called civilized life. That, in fact, is hell on earth. There's no denying that. You look at civilized society and you look at the bottom line. It's death, destruction, harm, animosity, confusion. All of these things come to one's consciousness. If they come to one's attention, one has the opportunity to transcend that limited, dead intellect, to be quiet, and then to see what life is through the subconscious mind, the mind of oneness. That is the solution to every problem that is dualistic in nature. One comes to an understanding, and all the conflict disappears. Why? Because it was an illusion to begin with, an illusion that was trained into you, that you had to believe. That's what schools are doing to you. They're using intellectual methods to create slave-minded individuals who believe in dead images, dead concepts, memory-based concepts. You see, memory is based in the past. All things of the past are dead because they avoid the living moment of now, the everlasting life that is now. And when the everlasting moment of now becomes an idea, a thought, a memory, you're living in the past. You're living in hell because you are thrust into the arena of contradiction. Contradiction is nothing more than sin. If you are trapped in the never-ending, repetitious energy of conflict, of confusion, of separation, division, you're confused. And that confusion must be reconciled. When that is reconciled, one comes to a point of oneness understanding. That's non-dualistic. That's the subconscious mind again. That is your true home. That is where you, all of you, who bear the burden of believing false beliefs, separate yourself and therefore become adversaries to each other. That is your creation of hell on earth. That can't be argued. If you're arguing, you're in hell. If you're debating, you're in hell. If you're confused, you're in hell. Hell is here and now, tampered with by the filter of the intellectual mind. You understand? You're not truly living in the moment of now, going with the flow of truth, of what is. You are interpreting, you are judging that energy, and in that judgment you have created a dualistic monster. You are creating the region of the living dead. That is a civilized world. All who consider them civilized, that is, believers of dead concepts and images trained into them repetitiously, indoctrinated, are indeed living in hell. They won't call it hell. Oh, they'll cover it up with positive imagery. But you see, that's just an illusion in itself, which causes more contradiction, more conflict. And one becomes depressed living in that kind of life instead of being freed, liberated. One finds that success that is promised is merely pleasure experienced rather. But that experience turns to depression. Hence you have the psychiatric position of the manic depressive, which creates an illusory disease that can be treated by medication, by pharmaceuticals, by drugs, by alcohol. That's an escape, the satanic escape. And all those who are living in that kind of energy are living in hell. It is being related to them, but they will not acknowledge it. And so the depression increases. And the manicness of false beliefs enter into their consciousness to allay the depression. And they shift from one level of consciousness to the other endlessly until they destroy themselves through suicide, depression, or anger, which causes homicide, the extinction of imagined problems that cannot be solved in any other way. So you remove the source, the imaginary source of the problem, by killing its representative. And then you create a government that has police agencies and courts to create a system of responsibility that is not responsibility. It's a matter of exploitation, of punishment, of extracting energy of those who are imaginarily said to have committed a crime, to committed a contradiction, an action which is unavoidable. You cannot deny the contradiction. That's what crime is. And so you create a system where you punish such crime when you don't realize that it is the system itself that has caused the crime, because the system is based in duality. It's based in satanic intellectual consciousness. And the average person, I'm speaking to you right now, you haven't got a clue that is how you're living. You only see the symptoms of that kind of life, and you judge it. You like it or you don't like it. That creates the criminal and the saint. Understand? They're just fictional positions of consciousness that one projects because one is infinite. In fact, they live in their subconscious mind. They are the God. And if they are the God of limitation, they identify with Satan, that energy of division. Now, those of you who live in that world of hell don't want to hear this, and they have resentment toward hearing the truth of how they live, especially by another man. A man who speaks only truth, only what is. They are offended by such a man or woman. And they must deal retribution to such individuals in order for them to continue carrying on with their illusory life, their holy life, religiously followed by dead images called scriptures, called the Bible. The Bible has truth in it, otherwise it would not be so seductive, satanically seductive in its way of holding the consciousness of millions of people, followers, believers. You see? Is the breaking away of that, which is the transcending of the intellectual mind that allows for heaven on earth to reveal itself. Because heaven on earth is nothing more than non-dualistic truth expressed by the individual. And that shows the quality of that life. It's peaceful, it's cooperative, it is love personified. Understand? Absolutely the antithesis of the hell that they believe in. The truths, the fictional truths that are conditioned, indoctrinated into them. You see, the idea of truth is never truth. It's a fiction, an illusion. And if you're civilized, you are the definitive prospect of one who lives in hell and is trying to understand how to get out of it. Simple. Stop the satanic temptations of thought that are unreconciled, unresolved into oneness, into understanding. Understand? Most of you know what the word understand is, but you don't understand the word understanding. You know it, but you don't understand it. It explains a part of consciousness. If you live in the realm of thought, you are living in hell. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. If you live in your subconscious mind and are living in a balance with your satanically ruled intellect, balance being the key, a fine balance that is peaceful, neither this nor that. That's what balance is. If you are balanced, you are living in a Christ state of consciousness, the infinite realm of what is, of truth. You are truth, life. You are the way. That's all Jesus of Nazareth said, for he was just a common man of truth, living in a dualistic world of satanic power. And he engaged with them as a mirror of truth. And he lost the battle, because at that point Satan won, they killed him. And then they took his memory, his story, and created a religion to control millions of blind believers in dead concepts, and called it Christianity. I'm not picking on Christianity. I'm merely pointing out that in a dualistic, intellectual sense, all religions are fictions, for they're based in beliefs. And they require your belief in order for it to have the power, satanic power, that rules over the lives of the living dead. The living man or woman of truth is a Christ. It, he, the world, the satanic intellectual world, has no power over non-dualistic living men and women, for they are the God of their own life. And they only have power over the living dead who believe, who follow blindly concepts drummed into them as truth, but are not truth. But what happens when one believes in a religion, or one believes in a government, and they run across another man or a woman who believes in a different religion or a different government? Is that in fact what is going on? You understand? Truth is what is. Nothing can change truth. You have to be dealing with the idea of truth in order to fall into the depths of one's hellish intellect and believe that to be your God. There you have it. What have I said that is not true? If you select that which you believe through your own definitions, your own judgment, to be not true, you haven't touched the truth of my words. You have merely believed the definitions that have been conditioned into you, and that throws you into contradiction and conflict. My purpose as a living man of truth, the Christ, is to point out to you the non-dualistic, true, the oneness, the love, the subconscious mind, and for you to return home, for that is your true home. But you must leave your false home of intellect in order for that to happen. That is the message of this living Christ to all you Satanists out there.